It's called Artist Alley Everywhere. What we're going to discuss today is taking the entrepreneurial mindset of Artist Alley and applying it more broadly in a career-based perspective, taking that hustle and exploring the economic realities of a creative career and the logistical imperatives involved in running a small business. Because that's what they don't tell you about it, is when you decide to monetize a hobby and make it a career, you're starting a small business. And there's some things to know about that. We have a very disparate panel up here in terms of approaches to creativity. We have Stanley, who's a traditional artist who's made a hell of a career out of that as art journalist. Martin, an amazing cosplay photographer and just general photographer. And then these two are wonderful digital artists here who do a lot of brand and campaign-based work. So there's been three very different journeys through the creative world and into successful professional careers. So I'm really excited to hear about these journeys. I've got this sneaking suspicion there's going to be a lot more that unites these guys than divides them, despite the fact that they work across such different mediums. Well, at what point did you realize, was there a breaking point for any of you that you realized that, hold on, I love doing this, and it's kind of cool that I'm starting to make a little bit of money off of this, but hang on, there is a career here. Was there a turning point? Was there one job, one person?
I started out in a graphic design job doing gas station 2-for-1 vouchers. And that was pretty much what, shelf wobblers and things in it. And I pretty much talked my way into my first job. And then I got into the job and I didn't know how to open a new file in Photoshop. I was just all Illustrator filters. Yeah. Well, just to set up the dimensions and the DPI. I didn't know what DPI was when I got my first job.
No one does.
But it was getting that exposure to learning those programs and just going I can suddenly take all of my interests and try and get more illustrative with it.
Yeah. You just have to decide oh wow, this is something that I just can't do both at the same time. That's when I decided, okay, I need to start focusing on what I love and it's not just dying at my desk job, but dying as a photographer.
For me, it's slightly different. Before I graduated, I was being employed as an art director in an advertising company. So I stayed there for a year. Got tired with the politics within the company, so I decided to run my own show. So I started my own design company, and I ran that for 4 years. And I got bored with it because I couldn't get a chance to draw. I draw a lot on my free time, but for the actual job, I design logos, brochures, flyers, all the campaign stuff. So I quit myself, and then I decided to open up a new studio just to focus on art and entertainment. So that's the studio I'm running up till now. It's been the past 10 years.
Imaginary Friends.
That's right.
Well, as we know, yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Oh, that actually leads me on really nicely to something I wanted to ask you guys, which is how the economic realities of a professional career impact your creativity, the imperative to make money and to have, to be able to support yourself, pay rent, and then past that, succeed on whatever level of validation money gives you like that. How does it impact your actual day-to-day creativity?
You got to balance time to innovate and time to make money. So it's if I can hit my monthly target, then it's time to put it away and spend a couple of weeks, working on that stuff that needs to be there in order to stay at the front of the game.
I think that's one thing about being a freelance artist is that you really have to be very responsible for yourself.
Since the beginning of my art journey, I have never thought about making a living with it. I love it because I just love to draw. And I remember back then I drew a lot of fan art for DC characters like Batman, Superman and stuff. And I didn't get paid. I enjoy it. And now I'm working with DC regularly and I still treat it like a piece of fan art. I just enjoy the whole process. I think that's really important. If the only fan I need to make is myself, I should be my number one fan, and that keeps me going up to today.
Main things I'm excited about with this panel is to ask some of the more difficult questions regarding the economic side of a creative career.
Sure.
Just because it's something that I feel there's this shroud over. No one wants to talk about it. There's no real normalized standards in this industry, and it's really difficult, especially starting out. How do you value your time? And that is something that changes over time. At the beginning of your career, you should value your time and your time's worth differently than when you get to an evolved mindset where you are the only fan that you need.
Yep.
But my question...
I'm a good fan too, by the way, so.
my question is, how do you value your time? How are you working out what these rates should be?
A couple of years ago, I got an agent, and that was a big turning point, was getting someone, I didn't know whether an agent was supposed to get me all the work or whether I was supposed to give them work and they manage it. And it's pretty much been that for us is like, I get the work come in and I hand it off to the agent. He negotiates because he's playing the bad guy, and he's playing like, this is, you know, this is like standard across the industry. This is what it's worth for someone of this level, and da 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 da. So it's kind of like, you know, you gotta get help.
So basically, your answer here is, working out that value is really difficult. I'm going to pay someone else to do it. No, but that's a good answer, right? That's a fantastic answer.
I think, especially with running your own business, like when you come up against a problem, like I don't know how to solve this.
Right.
It can absolutely be so beneficial to just be like, I'm just going to pay somebody who knows how to do this.
Yes. I mean, it's different each day. It depends on who the client is, how big the project is. Understanding usage is a massive
No,
thing.
but hang on, let's dive into this. At,
Yeah.
at what point do you decide this is an agent project, and at what point are you like, that'll be $5,000?
A good example is a job I did for Magnum Ice Creams.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, I didn't have an agent. Didn't understand what full perpetuity was.
Oh.
Da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's everywhere across Europe now, like for years.
Let me pause real quick. In this room, like, how many of you understand what usage is and how it works in relation to art? Yeah, you guys should all have your hands up. Okay, well, I'm glad to see. Right, well, welcome. The way usage works is when you have a project come in and you execute the creative for a large-scale client, they are meant to pay you for a period of time that it is used, and the amount of money you are paid on varies by the time, the different ways it will be used, whether it's in print, out of home, digital media, etc., and then the territories that it gets used in. What Luke signed a deal for was perpetuity, which means they can use it forever, and they probably got a buyout on it across all different media as well.
It should have been a $100,000 project.
Yep.
And I got $20,000.
It's,
I didn't, like, I would read, I'd skim a contract. And I'm like, I'm sure they're not trying to screw me over.
they were.
They
I mean,
always
it's
are.
an $80,000 lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't get art degree, get that.
Very different. I do not use any agent. I believe that in this days and age with internet, I can be my own agent, especially with social media, that I can actually manage my own fan base. I mean, sometimes I wonder, what does the agent do? You bring me jobs, but I don't need someone to bring me jobs, and you help me sell my artworks, but I put my stuff online immediately, 5 minutes. So I don't really need an agent for myself, and I like to be I don't like to live a double life as an artist. I mean, some people like to separate the personal life and the artist life. To me, it's the same. I like to see people how I struggle with my own life. I need to take care of my family, my kids. I need to change the diapers for my babies. It's the same thing. So I like to be that kind of person, to be really approachable, even online on social media.
So to balance out the points of an agent, I don't do this, but some of my friends, seriously, not me, but some of my friends do this, that they have an agent, so they don't be the bad guy. So let's say, for example, if I'm Martin, I have someone call John. It's just me too. I'll just you set up an email account and say, yeah, this is John, this is Martin's agent. This project gonna cost another $150,000. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll talk to Martin. Maybe he'll lower for you. He said he loves you guys. And
Yours
like,
sincerely, John Agent.
John, and then exactly. There, you know, making sure your signature don't mess it up. You know, so go back and then you can go back and forth, and not just only for money. For that, you can tell sometimes clients, hey, or like the clients, but hey, when is it done? When is your project being done? You can have that like, sorry, Martin's very busy right now. I already told him about it. We set a reminder. We'll get it done to you. Then they'll be mad at John, but they will still love Martin.
Yeah, that's one kind of job I really enjoy. Taking is the urgent job. Yeah, so it's a rush job. I love it because firstly, I have to tell my client that in order to take on your project, I need to push away maybe 5 to 10 projects. And because of that, I need to charge you a premium for that. And because it's urgent, I need to get it done fast and submit it fast, and they don't have time to do any changes, to make any changes. So that's a win-win for me. I mean, sometimes they thought like, if I make a piece of illustration, may take me 5 days. Actually, it's more like 5 hours kind of thing. So I thought, oh, this is really urgent. Actually, it's not really urgent for me. So that's a good thing about taking an urgent job.
The problem is that we're artists, so we know what we do, we know how our artists do, but companies don't. A lot of them are people who do not touch arts at all. So, like as he said, you kind of have to explain why this would cost more or cost less. Like why it's like I have to push away 10 other projects, or why this take so much time, and also why this is something that I can do in 10 minutes because I've been doing it for over 20 years. Or versus you hire some college kid who just started, that would take him 10 hours or 10 days.
That's right.
You're buying that
The 20 years.
20
Yeah.
years that I
Yeah.
spent.
I mean, to that point, it is being able to understand what the client wants. That is a skill.
Yes.
And if someone is ripping you off and making money off it, but then they test them out and say, we need you to solve this problem. They can't do it because all they're doing is copying somebody else. That's the skill, that's the experience, that's the years you put in that you're charging for.
So we've spoken about agents. I think I'd also like to just talk about like anyone else that you've brought in or had help you with your business. So.
I worked for 5 years in New York in a studio, and that was great, but it wasn't really satisfying me. So I would work nights, weekends, building my own portfolio to eventually launch Velvet Spectrum on a solo basis. And I would forget to invoice projects because I would work to 3 a.m. And the last thing I wanted to do was write an invoice or read a contract. So it was just kind of more of like building a portfolio that was going to make it commercially viable once I went for it.
Yep.
So I still never was good at it. And the paperwork side of things is crazy to think that you're going to be good at that as well. And then Morgan...
Why would you be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go to school to learn all that, and I don't really enjoy it. So when Morgan had a flexible schedule with her work as a model, and then, you know, learning more about the digital platforms that we work on, she was able to do like part-time business side and then part-time creative, like, you know, learning from the briefs that we would get in. And I'd just say, like, do the brief, and then if you do some invoicing, and then we'll get back to the brief. And, you know, it's just, you can't be good at everything.
Well, you made a really good point while we were chatting the other day as well about how Mo hops on the briefs to come up with some concepts to fire you, but also helps you find educational resources. Because like you were saying before, finding that stuff is half the battle, right?
Yeah. I mean, YouTube isn't really like organized that well. But yeah, like when I jumped on Velvet Spectrum, I played with like, oh, I'm the producer, oh, I'm the head of research and development, like a little bit of everything. And my background was modeling, and working with an agency in New York taught me a lot about, oh, this is the process of invoicing, and this is the process of usage, and so I had a little bit of knowledge about that. But every client has a different vendor setup. Completely different. And it can take weeks for them to like answer all your questions and make sure everything's correct. And
they're constantly changing their systems. So like there's invoicing platforms out there to make it easy for like people like us. But then there's clients that have their own systems, their own sort of vendor setups, and you just like, I could get a job in that would cost $2,000, but if I had to sit through and do the whole vendor setup, that's like 2 days of work, really, and it's taking me away from like the thought process of the job I'm supposed to be attacking.
Yeah.
I think since years ago, I realized that I'm not the kind of person good with numbers. Maybe I'm just wired slightly differently because of an artist. So I hate to look at numbers. So it's always good to have someone to actually look at the numbers for me and deal with that part of it. So I'm more than happy to pay for anybody who take my headache away so that I can focus on my art. I think that's that. And of course, also based on the geographical reasons, I'm based in Singapore. So when I work with comic companies from the US, especially recent years, last year I've decided to make my own comic covers. I need someone locally to help me manage that part of it. So that's why I met a partner. He's sitting right over there, is Corey. He take care of all the rubbish for me. So basically, especially when you deal with customers, complain and missing books and stuff like that, those things I really don't want to look at, and that's why he's there to take care of that so that I can focus on my craft.
Yeah, and that's specialization. That's always supposed to know, like, you are good at what you do, that's why your clients hire you. So it makes sense for you to also hire someone that's good at what they do. So you can spend more time. It's opportunity cost. It's just you can spend more time and energy and effort on what you love to do and how you make your money rather than trying to be an accountant as well as being an artist.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's too much for one person to do the whole thing.
So at this point, we've got 15 minutes left. This has really flown.
Wow.
I know, right? And I feel like we're just scratching the surface on a lot of this. But so I want to ask another couple of questions and then maybe take some Q&A if you guys have some questions. Will you have questions? All right, good. Cool. So I guess like, this sounds like a generic question, but I think we're going to get a decent answer out of it. And like, I just want to know if you could go back and talk to you when you first made that decision of, I'm going to do this for a living. I'm going to really dive in. I'm going to give you like 60 seconds to talk to you then. What would you say?
I would say don't rush to the end. Enjoy the journey, because I think a lot of people see the highest level, and that's what they think they're supposed to put themselves against. You know, it's making mistakes and being okay with that, and it's really figuring out like how to be your own voice. And for me, it was really stepping away from the industry and stop looking at what people were doing and just thinking about like what I enjoy, and it's comics, food, beer, So I just started making some stuff that was inspired by that, and it sort of led me down a path, or, you know, it's just really not trying to judge yourself on what the industry is doing. Because there's been years of like jealousy from me on what everyone else is doing, which isn't in my world, but I love what they do.
So you just say, just do you, boo.
That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I'm talking to myself, a younger self, let's tell him that you suck. But don't worry, you'll still suck for a while. But that's the thing, you know, like, and you will be very hard on yourself. But remember, today is just a small clip, a small pass of the future. So don't worry too much about what you're doing today. It might be difficult. You might thinking there is like, oh, I'm gonna reach the end of the tunnel, because you keep tunnel vision. You think that's where I'm going. But every time you reach a new level, there is another thing you want to conquer. And that's very much of us as an artist, you know, our artist mindset. Like we keep on wanting becoming better. That's why we never fully satisfied, at least for me. I'm never fully satisfied with what I do. I mean, I love it at this moment, but I know by tomorrow I'll be like, that's not that good. So I'm gonna try to go for somewhere else. But that's normal, you know. It's okay to enjoy those small moments where you're very happy with what you do, and you want to get better, you will, and just go for it after that.
Totally agree with Martin. I would tell myself to, I mean, my whole journey is to unsuck myself. So suck less every day, so that's important. Of course, when I talk to my younger self, I'll tell him to play lesser games, you know, watch lesser and fewer animes, and just focus more on drawing. I mean, I spent too much time playing games when I was young. And make a lot of mistakes. I think that's important, because every mistake that you make one lesser mistake the next day. So that's something that I always wanted to tell my younger one.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Personal stuff, which is, I guess everyone's at that point now where I feel like very saturated by what everyone's sharing, and it's kind of nice to just sort of step back a little bit and let the work do the talk.
I think for me, I got lucky, you know, I've been doing photography for a long time, but then of course I jumped on social media when it came along. I also worked at a social media company, for a while, and I learned a lot from it. I think it's a great tool to have, but it will also consume you if you're not careful. Maybe you see you get a lot of followers one day, and then next day it's like, oh, I'm not getting new followers. Like, it will drown you down. Like, you see a lot of great comments, but one comment said that you suck. Then you're like, oh God, maybe I do suck. My mom was right all along. Having all this flashback. But no, don't do that. You know, let social media be, if anything, I would say use it to motivate you to look at other people's stuff that you like. Discover more people. But also, I use it as a tool to keep producing, you know, because I'll produce art all the time, but I want to be making sure that, I haven't done it in a while, or I haven't done it, you know, for a week. I want making sure that I keep making stuff so that I'm happy I'm creating art, but also my fans understand that I'm doing more of it.
Yeah, for me, I love and hate social media in a way. I mean, back then, before the rise of like Facebook and Instagram, I think DeviantArt was my only social media. And there's a platform for me to interact with followers, fans. I enjoy the idea of art community, and I spend a lot of time nurturing the young artists, online and offline, just to help each other to grow. Everybody needs, I think for my whole life, I always wanted someone who showed me the way, you know, the mentor who showed me the way. I could never find one. So one day I decided that maybe I can become one for someone else. So that was my journey. So I used that, and that became a very powerful marketing tool, not because I have some automotive to actually use them, because I genuinely love to help each other, help people. And then many of them has become really successful in the market. And now they're coming back to me, asking me to work with them. Professionally. I think that's how I market myself.
And we're out of time.
You see how tense the room became?
No, come on, take a stab at that, guys.
I'm not sure that there's like a one answer anyone could give you for that. I actually didn't finish college, which was probably the best decision I made for getting a job straight out of it. I guess like it depends on like if you want to be an illustrator, like I think it's just using, like to the question before you, like using those tools as a way to show people that this is what I do, and this is what I'm interested in, and this is what I'm capable of.
Start marketing.
Yeah, start marketing. I think there's so many avenues out there where you don't have to be a personality or anything, but I think making sure that people know, you're creating.
Yeah, I mean,
is always
contacts are, you know, I get so many emails from students asking questions constantly, and if if you're going to do it, make sure you reply and say thanks. Because I don't know how many kids have emailed me just requesting like essays of questions, and then I never hear back from them. So if they were to reach out for a job later on, I probably wouldn't give them the time of day, because if you're going to like ask favors, then you need to appreciate that time that that artist is helping you.
Don't try to go with the normal way of applying for a job. Try to be a fan of the company that you want to work for. And you do good work, and then do something, and you show them your fangirl or fanboy of the company, it will help a lot in getting a job.
Great answer.
Great.
All right, guys, we are out of time. Please thank my lovely panelists.
Thank you.